Hi, I'm Cassidy Day. I've met a lot of you, but I'm an associate creative director here. And today I'm going to talk to you about something that I started doing at night 3 years ago that completely changed my life. I started going to a pottery studio. Now, I'm sure there might be some of you thinking, wait, didn't Ryan already talk about pottery once during the assembly? Is this really another talk surrounding that? And to you, I'd say, yep, that's just the power of pottery. What started as a way for me to get out of my house and get off of my phone quickly became my entire personality. Now I kind of live this double life. During the day, I'm a designer, making websites and presentations, and even designing events like the assembly. And at night, I'm usually at my pottery studio, practicing ceramics and making pieces like these. Thank you. I was gonna wait for an applause, but that's okay, that works too. Ceramics has pushed me to enjoy the journey of making. Not just the final outcome, but actually every step in the process that it takes to make something, that experience. Whenever I find myself stuck in a problem or trapped in a situation, I usually find the solution when I step away and touch clay. It's become this little retreat for me to sort of filter out all of the noise and complications of today's world. And ultimately, the biggest thing that it gives me is it's a way for me to recharge my creativity. It fills my well in a way that allows me to show up as the best version of myself for my team, but also for the people in my life. And I'm not the only one. This is Kevin Scott. He's the CTO of Microsoft, and he is a giant ceramics nerd. I was thrilled and amazed to figure this out. He posts a lot of videos on his personal Instagram, usually at around 4:30 in the morning, a little earlier than me, and just showing what he's making, things he's tinkering with. He is very fascinated with traditional Japanese styles of making, and he calls making a ceramic cup process joy, something that's not only based in the joy of the outcome, but actually the joy of the process. And it's how he balances his highly technology-focused job with his lifelong love of tinkering and making things with his hands. For me, both sides of my creative practice, I feel like complement each other pretty well, and they even share some overlap. Both design and ceramics, at the end of the day, are both focused on form and function, being creative, and at the end of the day, are both user-centered. But in the age of AI, I feel like the gap between these two practices is getting wider. Where ceramics is a very slow and physical process, design has felt faster and more digital than ever, with new tools and new ways of working emerging. But if you strip all of that away, the continuous thread between these things is craft. Now, when I was putting this presentation together, I think if you just asked me what craft was, I would have said it's the skills and tools of your trade, things that you learn to create the things that you want to make. But I feel like in really digging into it and looking at what other people are saying about craft, I started to realize it's kind of holding this bigger moment in the conversation right now. The way that designers and other people are talking about it, it's really starting to become this human blend of care, creativity, and curiosity that we bring to our work. It's the human element. It's what makes creative feel alive. And when we connect to our craft, it's what makes us the counterweight to automation. Now, if we could go back for a second, this isn't anything new, and some of you may have heard us talk about the Industrial Revolution before. But during the Industrial Revolution, we saw massive innovation, but it was met with the arts and crafts movement, a rebellion of craftspeople who called themselves Luddites because they were rejecting the technology of that time. This was a group of people who was very focused on the art of the everyday object. They felt like innovation was lowering their quality of life and that artisans were being reduced to the assembly line. Their focus was on things like ceramics and furniture and architecture, and they believed that nothing useless could be truly beautiful. In the wake of mass production, this is a group of people who were determined to stay connected to their craft. So my confession is, lately, I've been feeling like a bit of a Luddite, a little confused on where designers fit in this next era. But, of course, the other day I was at my studio, I had this realization that 300 years after the rise of mass production, I was still sitting there making a handmade mug. These are some of them. And I thought about it more, and I realized that not only was I making a handmade mug, but it's in the value that it brings for me, but it's the value that it brings other people too, and the value that others feel in a handmade object. And on top of that, it's innovations like Times from the Industrial Revolution that allow me to practice ceramics the way that I do today, with an electric wheel, with an electric kiln. It's all connected. You need both craft and innovation. Now, I just talked about innovation within ceramics, but to be honest, it's still a very slow journey. Each piece of ceramic goes through about 5 steps, give or take, typically. It starts as wet clay, which is what Ryan talked about on night 1. It's then formed into a vessel or a sculpture. It's then fired at a lower temperature. You then add glaze, which kind of determines what the color and texture is going to be. And then it's fired at a higher temperature, which sort of solidifies and finalizes your piece. So each of those steps, that's the process joy that Kevin Scott was talking about. And between each of those steps, you can really feel this sense of process being really put to the forefront. Thinking about, what did I just do? What could I do next? How could I improve? It's sort of that waiting and rhythm that gives you the experience of craft. Because unlike automation, craft takes time. We talk about doing more with less and innovation driven by efficiency. But when we talk about craft, about creative art design, sometimes efficiency doesn't yield the best results. Sometimes problems need time to solve. Sometimes we have to think through things. Sometimes craft takes time to perfect and hone. Anthony Bourdain once said that if you are too lazy to peel garlic, you don't deserve to eat it. And to me, that's the perfect way to think about creative, ceramics or not. If you don't take the time to chop your garlic, your dish might be missing something. In the same way, if you cut time from the creative process, well, your customers might be able to tell. Both of these outcomes are a matter of taste. And that time that you spend to slow down and really learn your knife skills of how to chop something, that's all kind of part of the experience as craft as well. This is an evolution of my ceramic work over time. I show this not to show off all of my pieces, but to actually show you how craft evolves. There's a reason that it's called a creative practice. You kind of need that time under tension. Just like Kevin said, creativity is a muscle. You've got to work it out. So without that kind of time to be under tension, you might never grow that creative skill. You might never strengthen your craft. And if we let a machine do the things for us, well, then we definitely won't gain that muscle. I've spent hours practicing ceramics, and I think with that time, not only have I gotten better learning how to make things, but I've also kind of created this voice for myself, this creative vision that I feel like I infuse into a lot of the pieces that I make now. My pieces have gone from something you'd expect in an intro to wheel throwing class, janky handles, to something that you'd maybe feel like is more unique and stands out a bit more, janky handles with intention. Because when we give creative time, craft stands out. Now, there are probably hundreds of examples of this, but today I'm going to talk about Hermes. For anybody who's not a fashionista, kind of me included, Hermes is an iconic luxury brand that makes a bag called the Birkin. It was named after and inspired by French actress Jane Birkin. It's probably one of the most coveted purses in history. You have to be on a wait list to get the opportunity to potentially purchase the bag. So there's this exclusivity built in. But it's also a handcrafted, high-quality product. Each bag has been made in Paris by Hermes since the 1920s. So you could say that they've had time to refine their craft. Each one is hand-stitched, the leather is curated, each bag has an artisanal touch. And Hermes has really built their brand around this level of quality and the human element. And they live this out in their everyday marketing. I actually checked out Hermes's website this morning. They are featuring beautiful ceramic pieces, which I thought was very apropos for this presentation. But this is an example of something that they hired an artist to create. They reflect the current season and the current climate in what their pieces are doing, but also surrounding around what an artist's vision could be, how an artist perceives their brand and how it could be reinterpreted. Each one feels unique and inventive and bold. It's sort of infused with that humanness of it. And they all remain really curated while not remaining the same. They make you want to stop and look. And to me, that's because Hermes is definitely hand chopping their garlic. Hermes is taking the time to make sure that their products and their marketing stands out. And it shows in how people perceive their brand, because craft is a luxury. Not every project we make is going to need this high level of craft, but when we have the opportunity to make something that could use it, it's a luxury, and I think that the way that people perceive it will, show that. And as automation continues to rise, I believe that this perceived premium on human crafted and craft-based things and the human element will continue to rise with it. So while I'm not at my studio making Birkins, I believe that ceramics is what connects me to my sense of craft, my sense of being human. And at the end of the day, we are all just humans using our various tools to create something, even if we don't feel like we're creative. And as our tools may evolve with new innovations, I believe our craft evolves alongside of it. So in this current moment of innovation, my challenge to everybody is to think about what connects you to your sense of craft, what connects you to your sense of being human. And not only the value that it brings yourself, but also the value that it brings your work and the people in your life. And remember that the next time you have the luxury to create something, it's up for us to decide what's worth making, how do we want to be perceived, and how important is it for it to stand out? Because innovation isn't the death of craft. It's actually an invitation to examine how we create and why we create anything at all. Thank you.